So welcome to Small Farm Living on a very breezy morning. I am going to be taking some of my older containers and some things that I have on my patio that I want to repurpose and upcycle. So I'm going to bring you along so that maybe you can get some ideas on things that maybe you could do to sprucing up your patio space. All right, so the first thing that we're going to work on today is this cute little, I guess it's almost like a lantern. But you can see I love chippy old rusty things, but this one has really gotten to the point where it's just too far gone. And in order to protect it, I need to neutralize the rust on here so it doesn't get any worse. And you can see down here, it has this cute little latch door that opens up inside, and the bottom is really crusty too. So let's get this cleaned up and give this a fresh makeover. All right, so first up, I'm just gonna work on getting the big pieces taken off of here. And I think when I found this, I found it at it was either it's probably a yard sale. I'm a thrift store and yard sale kind of girl, so I definitely didn't buy this new. But I am going to take my little finger sander that I use in a lot of my crafting, and I'm just going to give it a rub down like that. And I will probably get as much of this loose stuff off with my fingers as I can at first. And if you're the kind of person that likes the satisfaction of peeling things, this would be right up your alley. Even on the little trendles here, you can see like pieces are just flaking off like crazy. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but the bottom is just peeling right out as well. This has been sitting outside on my patio, but it has been covered, so it doesn't really get wet other than the moisture. And being in Oregon, we do have a lot of mornings that the dew point is pretty high. Oh, originally this came from Ross, $14.99. So like I say, definitely didn't buy it, but I got it secondhand. So I'll just work on getting this cleaned up here. Maybe I'll put you on a time lapse and then we'll move on to the next step. So this is the aftermath. It doesn't look horrible, but there's quite a bit of stuff. I actually moved over into the shade because I was getting too hot. But let me get this cleaned up, and then we are going to spray this down with vinegar water. So now, even though I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum paint, I am going to spray this with vinegar first. And the reason why is because, as I mentioned, vinegar neutralizes rust. And I just want to stop the rust from continuing as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is just give this a good spray down. That smells lovely. But I'm also going to spray the inside, up in the dome. There was a little bit of chipping up in there. Amazingly, the inside little scrolly detail didn't have a whole lot of rust on the inside. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that sit. And then what I will do is come back after a little bit. It will probably dry on it. I'll spray it one more time and then we'll wipe it off. So now that it's been sitting for a little bit and I have gotten 2 coats on it, I'm just going to come through with some paper towels and I am just going to wipe off as much of the grime as I can. And if you wanted to skip this step and go straight to just rinsing it off, you could do that. Just trying to get as much off of here as possible. Okay, so now that I have that all rinsed off, I'm going to just come over the edge of my deck, and on the shower nozzle, I'm just going to give it a good spray down. And then I'll just let this sit out here in the sun, and we'll let it completely dry, and then I will show you the color we're going to paint it. Okay, here's how we are looking. I know we're in the shade because the sun is making me very hot, but you can see it's all dried. And now I'm going to show you the color we're going to use. It is this one right here. It is Rust-Oleum Satin, and it's called Vintage Teal. Now it is a little bit different of a color, but it's very similar. I kind of thought the color was fun, but they didn't have that exact color in the spray paint. So let's get this put on there and see how it looks. It actually almost does look very much like that color, doesn't it? By the lid, it looked a little bit deeper, but I mean, I know things dry a little bit darker, but let's just keep going and see what we end up with. And I didn't bother sanding everything down because I don't want it to look perfect. I'm a shabby, I guess they call it shabby chic. I don't know how chic I am, but I do like stuff with a little bit of character on it. Oh, you can tell all that chippy didn't come off right there. But again, I'm good with it. Since the door's open, we'll give that a coat. Okay, let's let that dry. I'll put a second coat on it, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all dry. Okay, here is how it is looking now that it is all dried. I don't know if you can see in the sun some of the chippiness still on there. Again, doesn't bother me, but overall it turned out really nice. And again, it'll probably chip some more later, but at least we have resealed it, and now it has the potential to have another good 10 plus years of its life. I have a little shelf out here on my patio that I'm going to show you in just a little bit, and we are going to style this on there along with some other more fun things that we're going to do, so keep watching. Next up is this old funnel that I got at an estate sale. I'm not sure what it was used for, but I had my husband drill a few holes in it so we could hang this up. But the first thing we got to do is wash it. It's just dusty. It's been sitting around. I've had it for several years. So let's get this cleaned up so we can get this turned into something awesome and repurposed for my deck. In order to fill this, I don't want to hang it up and try to fill it. So I'm just going to use a bucket that I have sitting here. It isn't quite as deep as I need it, but that's okay. Now I went and I found a big rock, and what I'm going to do is place this down inside the center there. That way water can still filter through the sides, but this is going to protect all of my dirt from falling through. Now, another thing that I'm going to do, and it probably sounds kind of weird, is I am going to put a diaper in the bottom of my container. And if you have ever seen, they actually sell those little water absorption granules, and really it's basically the same thing that's inside the diaper that absorbs all the goodness from your child or your grandchild. So I'm going to place it down in the center like that. Now I probably will, just for good measure, because I just want it at the bottom. I'm just going to roll these over. And I just have it laying down in there just like that. And now what I'm going to do is take my potting mix. Now I did a video, oh, it's been a while back. I think it was last beginning of summer, and I will link that down below for you. But I was planting up some really fun and cool containers in my garden, and in that video I gave a whole bunch of really good tips on things that really help when you do containers. So I will link that down below if you want to go take a look at that. But for now, we are just going to get this filled up with our pre-moistened potting mix. And I do explain a lot about that in that video I was just talking about. But if you can, always start with getting your potting mix as damp as possible. Not wring out wet, but just damp like this. This doesn't have a whole lot of water in it, but what that does is it already has, so because it already has moisture in here, when you go to water it, it absorbs and absorbs and absorbs. Whereas if you have dry potting mix, the water just runs right past it, and it can take multiple waterings for it to get to the point where it needs to be for your plants to be happy. So if you start out with it already damp, you are ahead of the game. Now this is just, I think I'm using some Miracle Grow potting mix, and this already has a slow release fertilizer, so I'm not going to worry about putting any more fertilizers in here. Part of my repurposing here is, this is a Creeping Charlie. I had this in a pot at one point, and then I made a start and put it in here, and as you can see, it has like moss that's going to seed in here from last year. So what I'm going to do is break off some clumps of this. We're going to use this to trail down the sides. So this will be another plant that we can repurpose. And then I did buy a couple of new things that we're going to put in there just to add a little more fun. I am just going to find a decent sized clump that already exists. It looks like this one. It's kind of going around the edge of the pot. So here it is. You can see how it's just winding and winding and winding around the edge of the pot. So what I will do, I probably should have brought my clippers up here with me so I could clip some of this off. But Creeping Charlie roots very easily, so just breaking some of these roots isn't going to hurt it. And if you were to go buy Creeping Charlie like in a 4-inch pot, you literally can divide it into several pieces if the plant is large enough, and it will be just fine. So here, I'm going to take this top layer off that has some of this moss stuff on it, because yes, we're repurposing this, so we're going to make it look pretty again. And there I have a clump of Creeping Charlie. And what I want to do is just put this on the front edge here. Take the dead pieces out. All right, so I think I will do a couple of clumps of Creeping Charlie, one here and one over here. I have both of my clumps of Creeping Charlie in there, and then this actually had a volunteer little, oops, I think it's a viola, like a pansy. And it has some dead blooms on here, and since it's still happy, I'm just going to leave it in there. We'll repurpose him too. But I did go to a local nursery around here. Even though I grow tons of my own plants, I did not grow any impatiens this year, and I thought it would be fun just to have a burst of some pretty pink in the corner. And then I love ferns, and I didn't grow, of course I don't have ferns actually that I grow, but this is a northern maidenhair fern, and so I'm going to stick this in the back, and hopefully it'll get nice and big and fill out in the back and drape over the edges a little bit and just fill out my basket. So let's get those put in there. I think what I'll do is I will put my fern in the back first. So we'll make our little hole. Oh my gosh, I just love the wispiness of ferns. They just look so happy. What about you? Do you like in greenery, things that just are green? What is your favorite thing to use in planter boxes or little hanging baskets that just add whimsy? I mean, the Creeping Charlie is like a green, and it adds a lot of whimsy too. But I don't know. There's something about ferns. I just love them. So let's get. It was funny when I went up to the counter to pay. She was like, "Oh, it's missing one," and so she gave me a discount. So I thought that was nice. This one is really dry. I probably should have watered this first, but let's get this close to the front. I'll get some of these yellowy leaves off of here. Get him tucked down in there. So he starts trailing towards the front. And I probably don't need any more than that because this will take over. But what I'm going to do, just to make it look pretty and full right from the get-go, is I'm going to put one on each side of the fern back there. We will have some gorgeous color in here. And it was interesting, I think because of the economy this year, she was not growing she actually buys plugs. So she doesn't grow a lot of her stuff from seed, but she buys plugs, which are little plant starts if you're not sure what those are, and she just grows them up into bigger pots. But she didn't buy as much this year because I think she was a little bit nervous about people not buying as many flowers. And so I was kind of surprised when I went out there that she didn't have a whole lot, and I was lucky to find these impatiens because she didn't have too many left. All right, so now that we have this like this, before I water it and it gets too heavy, I am going to grab the chain And the chain is one that I had off of an old hanging basket that I took outside and spray painted and repurposed. Okay, I got the chain. Now, I didn't spray this perfect. I just gave it a couple little coats it was rusty. So, and of course, all these little hooks like to catch each other at the bottom. Just let go. Okay, so find the first hole that he made me. Here's one over here. All right, let's go get this hung up. And here is how we are looking up here in my corner. I just love how these look. I haven't watered this in yet, but when the water runs out of the funnel, it will come down here into this pot and just drip in here and water this one. So here we are back up at the funnel. And this will all fill in. It'll be nice and full and draping over the edge. So like with my other projects, if you want to keep track of this, I'll do updates throughout the summer in some of my videos. So be sure you're subscribed for that. Now here is a repurposed old pallet that we made into a slim shelf. And we just bought some of these bricks at Lowe's and we glued them onto the top. And then my husband we have gross vinyl siding, but it is what it is, right? He bracketed it to the house so that it doesn't tip over. But what we're going to do is we are going to dress this up with some of the items that we repurposed. Okay, the last upcycle that we are going to do is this little old coffee pot. I don't have the top or anything for it, and I do like to plant it. I thought it would be fun to put a few little decals on here. I'm going to use this flower, and then I'm going to use these mushrooms because if you can see, there is a little bit of kind of a tealy green color right there, and I think that'll go good with the lantern that we did earlier. And these are just some mushroom decals. They also have some little florals in there as well that I got off of Amazon, and I've used them in a few of my crafts. So if you're interested, those will be in my Amazon store down below, and I do have it separated by categories, so that should make it easier for you to find. But let's get this cut out and put onto the coffee pot. So what I did on here is, pardon my hands, I'm a true farmer. On here, I just sprayed it with some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and it cleaned up the surface. So the first one that we're going to put on is this mushroom, and I'm just going to separate it from the backing there. Then I'm going to set this probably about right here. And then this little floral I thought would be pretty as well, and I'm going to set it on this side. So let's get the back off of this one. And normally I clean my dirty crevices of my skin with lemon juice. I just haven't done it here lately because I run back and forth between doing farm work and doing crafting. And right now I'm taking a break because I got incredibly hot out there. Okay, so we got that piece off now, and let's get that put on. Oh, maybe better make that bottom part straight. Put that on like that. And then I'm just taking this little Cricut tool that I got at the Dollar Tree. Just going to rub it over it just to make sure that it's stuck on there really well before we peel the front part off. Right, let's very carefully start taking the front off. And hopefully we got good adhesion. These decals, or these transfers, I should say, they really have impressed me, where you saw that I barely rubbed it at all, and I don't have any lifting when I'm pulling the plastic off. And this is sticking onto this container pretty good too. So now hopefully I didn't jinx myself for this side. Let's start pulling this off, seeing what we got. Yeah, look at that. Almost completely done, and we haven't had any lifting. Oh, I spoke too soon because this got stuck on top of, darn it, I didn't even think about that. That got stuck on top of the other, but that's okay. This is just for outside. We're not going to worry about that. So now we have these cute little transfers on there, and I'm going to put some potting soil in here, and we'll put a plant in here, and then we are going to decorate that pallet shelf. Okay, so on this coffee pot, there's no holes in the bottom. I didn't drill any. This sits on that little pallet shelf, and it is protected by the overhang of the eaves, so I don't have it filling with water. So I'm just really careful when I water, and if I ever wonder if it's too heavy or too full, you literally, once this all solidifies around your plant, can pour any water out from the bottom if it is standing in there. But like I say, I usually don't have too much trouble. So what I'm going to do, this is another fern that I bought when I was out there, and I thought this would look really cute in here. Get my fern in there. That leaf doesn't look super happy. Take that one off. And again, this is pre-dampened potting mix so that I don't have to work hard for that to all absorb. And I'm just going to fill up around the sides here. I'm going to get this watered in, and now let's put our little shelf together. All right, so let's start putting our treasures back on here. First up, we are going to put our lantern that we did. I did stick a little candle in here so I can light it in the evening whenever we're out here hanging out. Put that over there. And I have this, I found this at a thrift store. Somebody made this beautiful stained glass candle votive. And a lot of times I just will put a candle in there. Sometimes I set a plant on there. Here is our really cute little fern with the mushroom decals that I put on there. I think I'm going to set him right in the middle. And now I also have little bits and pieces of some stone that was at my parents' house. And I like to use these just to rise things up a little bit. So I'll put that there, or I might put it over here. Put that over there. It's kind of a blue, and I can balance my blues on each side. Okay, I think I'm going to move this over here just because I have my cute little Mexican chicken planter and I want to use that there. And I need one more little decorative piece to fill in the spot over here. So let me see what I can find. Okay, so I ended up finding this little green candle holder that I put the little blue insulator on, and I just thought it tied in a little bit better with the green and the mushrooms and the plants and the greens over here. And then I went and got this off of my front porch. I love to kind of mix and move things around. This is a cap to a aluminum fence pole, and I rescued that out of a flower bed at one point somewhere sometime. Thought it was just a cute architectural detail, but here we have our repurposed palette into a shelf, and we have all our little items that we just repurposed in today's video. And then I'll pan over here to the corner, and we have our repurposed funnel that we planted with our repurposed hanger. So just a few fun ideas for you to spruce up your patio or your deck. Tripping over things, sorry. But just give you a little look at what we did today again. Hey, there I am in the window. So yeah, let me know if you had a favorite. Be sure to check out the link for that other video down below. Give you a little more up close look at the funnel again. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this kind of content. I have a crafting video coming up where I'll be doing a little something in there that has to do with the outside patio as well. So watch for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time.